Colorado was coming off of a loss to Nebraska, and I'm here to tell Colorado Bucks fans how they can turn this thing around and into a positive recruiting wise here on the Five Star Flicks. All right, take the L. It happens. Somebody has to lose. This time it was Colorado. Kudos to Nebraska. If I'm Deion Sanders, if I'm Coach Prime, how do I spin this win when I'm talking to recruits? The thing about this win that I saw that I would focus on would be adjustments. Specifically, I would start with the defense. If I'm talking to a linebacker that's committed, a defensive end that you may have committed, I'm going to talk about how the defensive coordinator was able to hold the Nebraska offense to 21 points overall. And after going down 28-0, they didn't give up another point. Now, and I said they only gave up 21 because 7 of those points was off of a pick six. But yeah, the defense only gave up 21 points. They held them to under 400 yards. And usually, you hold a team under to under 21 points, you should win. So I'm actually going to say kudos to the defense, and that's how I'm going to spin that. But adjustments are a tell of two sides of the ball. The offense failed to make adjustments. Okay, they made some because they scored in the second half. They made some, but we're talking about the offensive line, and I don't think that Colorado has the time to allow that line to gel. So when you have a line that has talent, because you have guys with multiple games on Division I level who came in through the transfer portal, you got a 5-star tackle in Jordan Seaton who's been doing a pretty good job. But these guys aren't playing together, and more importantly, they aren't winning the one-on-one matchups as they should be. Colorado is ranked outside of the top 100 when it comes to pressure rate under with only 4 people rushing, which tells me that you guys aren't winning individually. Okay, so how do you spin that? Well, one, I'm providing opportunity. I'm telling us, hey, I'm telling all of the next top guys, you could be the next Jordan Seaton, but we're going to put a Jordan Seaton with another Jordan Seaton and another Jordan Seaton who have that type of pedigree that they're going to naturally blend together. Also, you could just talk about things that can help make the offensive line better as far as the scheme that you're running. So the protection packages that the plays being called right now aren't lending to the offensive line's strengths. What I mean by that is Colorado led, or let me check my stat all the way out. Yeah, Colorado led the country last year when it came to quick game concepts. And even running quick game, they still gave up a ton of sacks, a ton of pressures. Well, now Colorado has more of a vertical passing attack, which I know offensive coordinator Pat Sherman's been dying to get into. But this year, they've only ran 7 plays based in quick game concepts, according to Pro Football Focus. So that's an easy fix for me. Get the ball out quicker by design. And I think that's something where the concept is for quick game. That's something that an adjustment that can be made to help the offensive line build their confidence in order to have them in a better position when it comes to getting vertical. One of the biggest things they had to do is just run the ball. I mean, you have to be able to run the ball in big boy football. And we heard Shador say that's something that they don't do as well as they pass, which is true. But I think by not being able to run the ball, you allow defensive linemen to pin their ears back and be undisciplined when it comes to gap control. And now they just beating the guy. It don't matter where they go. They just get to the quarterback. Now you tell any defensive lineman who plays big time ball that the only thing you got to think about is going to get to the quarterback. That's all you got to think about. No responsibility. Just go get to the quarterback. Then that's really like a field day. That takes it back to playing ball like we're in the backyard. So I think by being able to run the ball and go in the quick game, you can fix some of those issues that we've been seeing on the offensive line. And now you're still able to sell that to say, hey, look, we're not just a team that's going to be stubborn. When we see things that aren't going the way we want them to, we make adjustments to accentuate the strengths of the offensive line. And I think another thing you got to do is let them get downhill. Allow them to just block the man in front of them and just drive. What we saw last game was an offensive line that got punched in the mouth early and often. And when it was time for them to shine, they say, hey, we're just going to pin our ears back, the offensive line, and we're just going to move you off the ball. They did a poor job, especially in third and fourth and short. Those contributed turnovers. Now the game gets out of control. But when you're able to identify fixable things or fixable holes and patch them up, that allows you to sell yourself to recruits who say, because you got to think, Colorado got a 5-star offensive tackle last year with 4 wins because they're selling the potential of the program and what it could be. So now when you go talk to more of these guys that you have on the board, and you think about the transfer portal, and you think about how do you get guys to come in after game one, after your first loss. Now you start to think, what do we do against Colorado State in order to make ourselves more attractive? Because you already got the show that comes with it. I mean, everybody in the country, a ton of people watch that game, and a lot of people are watching to see Colorado lose. But for those, if I'm a Colorado coach, if I'm on Colorado's staff, what I'm selling is, don't worry about that. People are going to watch. Be a part of the solution. There are things that are fixable that we're going to fix. And this is our plan for fixing it. I just gave you some stats that probably blew you away. Who would have thought that Colorado only ran 7 plays a quick game this year? It's a fixable stat. Here's another thing, too. When you go look at Pat Shermer's history, there was a game in December 2021 when he was the offensive coordinator of the Broncos. And that I think they had the 3rd lowest amount of rushing yards in Broncos history. And I believe it was rushing attempts. The following 2 games, they ran the ball 28 times a game. At this time, they had Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. But the following 2 games, it was fixed immediately. So those are the things that if I'm Colorado's coaching staff, I'm saying, okay, let's check into this. And Coach Prime's got to go to Coach Sherman and say, all right, we got to fix it. And Coach Sherman, in the past, has shown he has the capability of fixing those things. There's another thing that Colorado doesn't have that I saw when I was going to do my research on Coach Sherman. And that was that Coach Sherman was somebody who, in his zone blocking scheme, was able to implement sift blocks with the tight end, where you put them in motion and you're able to wipe out that backside defensive end. Well, you don't have that capability to run those 2 tight end sets in this offense just because of personnel, which is another recruit, which is something else that I would say, hey, 2 good tight ends, 3, you can get 2 or 3 good tight ends in this offense and you're going to play. All right. And that only added to Sherman's ability to run the ball in wide zone. We saw inside zone really wasn't working the other day. So, and where was the pressure coming from? Up the gut. The D tackles had a field day. Get outside. Use your speed. Help your offensive line by utilizing quick game and some wide zone and getting people and maybe even a little more eye candy pre-snap with some wide motions to let people know that's what you're thinking and get guys in space and get that receiving core and those running backs into space. So because once they can't pin their ears back and the D linemen don't have to just crash, they know they have to respect you getting outside, then you're able to create running lanes and also passing lanes. So when I look at what happened, the offensive line didn't play as well as you would have wanted to. That's some turnovers you wish you could have got back early on. The run defense left something to be desired early on, but they did clamp down in the second half. There are some positives that can be presented to recruits from saying what the adjustments that have been made and will be made. So being made an opportunity and documented production, because I believe that as Colorado starts to get this thing under control and they understand their flaws, they'll be able to go put patches on those holes. And then you'll see proof of concept for adjustments. That's how Colorado can get this thing back in the road before it gets out of hand. So if I'm on Colorado staff, you got to sell the ability to make adjustments, which the defense showed you and the offense did on a smaller scale. But now you got a week to go work on it. And I know they see the same things that I'm seeing. And also opportunity. Guys that can come in and win those one-on-one situations. I think that's a good mix for recruiting for a one-on-one team that has the ability to go out here and have a great performance against Colorado State on the road, which is another one of those rivalry type games, stemming from some of those statements being made last year. So yeah, I don't think it's the end. I don't think it's the end of the world for Colorado, and I don't think Deion's planning on leaving. What I think is he's planning on making the right adjustments to make his stay go a lot smoother than they saw it go on Saturday, which I think they'll do. All right, that's it. Colorado fans, make sure you check me out at Dukes D Scoop and like and subscribe.